About 10 years ago, my dad released a scientific paper about how the Red Sea crossing in Exodus could have happened in reality through wind set down. Basically, wind blows the water out of a shallow lake, which allows the people to cross. A few months later, he received an email from a pastor in Tennessee. Oh boy, he thought. I can't wait to see this pastor's take on my paper.
Scientists can no more keep their ignorant hands off the Bible than a dog can rid itself of fleas. Naturalistic history's been around since the Enlightenment. People you know what they don't need neither. People think don't need this. An enterprise I'm tired of science and pointless hospitality. I think I'll find a scientist and do a bit of brain surgery on him. Let's see how he likes it when people with no training dabble.
Fundamentalists! When they aren't sending death threats, mucking up laws for the rest of us, or undermining democracy, they are making media to justify their hatred of the oppressed. You know, normal things that people who aren't insecure do all the time. Enter Chick Tracts, bad comics for terrible people. Their topics range from sports to anger to abortion to communism to... wait, what? They each teach you a little lesson. A wrong lesson, but a lesson about God, Christianity, Jesus, or how to hate minorities. However, before diving into this lake of fire, to understand the tract, you must understand the man behind the tract. And to understand the man, you must understand the movement.
Well, I wrote this song for the Christian youth. I want to teach kids the Christian truth.
Now, there have been Christian fundamentalists since there have been Christians, but what I'm mostly talking about here is Protestant evangelical Christian fundamentalists, which are different from evangelicals, who are also... Do you see why this video is so long now? The main tenets of this system of beliefs are complete biblical literalism. The Bible is the absolute word of God, and everything and every word in it happened as described and is to be interpreted as literally as possible. This is also combined with an attitude of general cultural conservatism. Mom, dad, no sex before marriage, go to church on Sundays, and the Catholic Church is a secret shadow government in charge of the entire world and is run by Satan for the express purpose of getting as many people as possible into hell. Jack T. Chick was born on the otherwise fine day of April 13th, 1924 in Los Angeles, California. He served in World War II before converting to Christianity after listening to Charles Fuller's radio show. Now, converting to faith after a war is normal. Converting faith due to a radio show is... interesting, to say the least. In 1960 or 1950, it's inconsistent when he actually wrote the first comic, he founded Chick Publications and wrote the very first Chick Tract, A Demon's Nightmare, or Demon's Nightmare A, according to the worst categorization system ever invented. The resulting comic is like an extremely over-the-top riff-off of the Screwtape Letters, devoid of anything even slightly entertaining or subtle. It depicts everything distracting you away from God as deliberate attempts by Satan to get you away from humanity, and not, normal things to do, like want to party, or kiss people, or not kiss people, if that's your... The protagonist subject of this comic is a complete drag on his friend's night out and is constantly evangelizing the whole time despite the fact that it's really annoying and his friends hate it. He then loses all of it. The end. From that start, he would spend the next 50 years writing them. So now, let's read a few.
If you want to reach those kids on the street, then you gotta do a rap to a hip-hop beat.
Let's talk about Fat Cats, a bad comic where the Order of Jesuits has as much power and influence as the entire US military. It stars Juan, a not Cuban in not Cuba fighting not Batista while working for not Castro. Carlos. Juan learns that not Batista is trying to murder his family and is understandably a bit miffed about this. He goes to his local priest, the infinitely wise and perfect man who explains the entire moral of the comic to him. Then he goes to the army, led by a Catholic priest. Remember, the priest is Catholic and the bad guy because here at Chick Comics, Catholic's bad. We need you to know this. Juan then joins the army, and Carlos overthrows the government in the vast and interconnected story of 2 panels, using the Jesuit connections which are never explained and you're just supposed to accept as true. The revolution succeeds, and then Juan's entire family is executed for being Christians, and if you think that's a bit abrupt, yes, it is. Juan then is executed, and the comic ends with a Wish.com version of the ending of Animal Farm. Juan is then sent to hell, learning his lesson. Now, I ask you, what did Juan do wrong here? He didn't blaspheme. He never put Carlos over God. He was still a Christian at the end. His family was executed by the Catholic priest he put in power. But if the symbolism at the end is to be believed, that would have happened anyway. All poor Juan did was try to overthrow a tyrannical government and not just give up and wait to go to heaven. He actively tried to do good deeds and he was punished for it. What is the message of this comic? Vibe with tyranny because you might accidentally believe in something too hard and knock God off the top of your list for like 2 seconds? That's a horrible message! But thankfully, it was delivered really poorly. Speaking of God and things that suck hard, Big Daddy is an extremely famous comic for all the wrong reasons. It stars Teacher and Ben Shapiro. How many of you believe in evolution?
Oh, me.
Anyone disagree? I do. You get out of my class! We might let you back in after you've apologized for being such a stupid little bitch. Perhaps I was too hasty. I will now systematically tear your belief system to the ground, young man. Thanks, but you really should have done that in the first place. In the Bible, Hold your tongue, young creature! You can be jailed for that, you can only talk to me in scientific terms. The evidence is overwhelming, really. DNA proves it, science proves it, carbon-14 dating proves it. There are 6 types of evolutionary principles, and only one has ever been observed. Of course! Since you don't live for millions of years, and that's the only one you can observe within a single lifetime, or within the time this field has even existed. But Lucy was found next to anatomically modern humans and is no different than an ape. Humans also live in East Africa. That doesn't change my point. These fossils come from layers that are millions of years old. But isn't that circular reasoning? Fossils are dated from the layer and later. No, the reasoning is not circular, because we use zircon crystals and uranium lead dating to efficiently tell how old certain layers are, which is extremely useful. Humans also have things like vestigial tailbones. But 9 muscles connect to that bone. It's hardly vestigial. Vestigial doesn't mean no use, it means limited use for a different purpose. That's why whales use it for reproduction, and that explains why it's still there. But isn't losing something the opposite of evolution? Not even slightly. Evolution is adaptation. If one creature starts living in a different environment, you will gain and lose things in order to better suit your environment. What's the bounding force of an atom? The strong interaction between quarks. Neutrons have a lot of those, so their residual force binds the protons together, like a stronger magnet pulling 2 weaker ones together. This force overcomes the charge of the protons in the atom. It's why, as atoms get bigger, they need proportionally more and more neutrons to keep the atoms balanced. That's the strong interaction. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. So do I start worshipping Satan now? Of course! We support all creeds here at Gay Satan Critical Race Theory High School.
So I gave my sermon an urban kick. My rhymes are fly, my beats are sick.
There are a few more notable ones, and they're really bizarre. Take this one about Muslims. Allah had no son. Not only does it get the basic stuff wrong about the Quran that you can prove wrong in like 5 seconds, it gets more and more wrong while the ideas aren't never really challenged. Or take this one, the attack about how the King James Bible is perfect and how Satan has been messing with it for millennia, including, but not limited to, killing people who translated the King James Bible, which didn't actually happen, putting the Apocrypha into the Bible, including the King James Bible, creating the evil Alexandrian texts, as well as claiming that the first Pope, Constantine, was influenced by Satan to create the Vulgate. It references a council so insignificant its Wikipedia page is 7 sentences and uses it to justify fear over when the joint atheist Muslim Catholic Inquisition takes over the world or something. Having now read enough of these to not die of frustration, here's how the comics usually go. Evil, non-Protestant person is like, ha, I hate Christians. Good Christian is then like, but what if Jesus? And a bad person is like, Jesus? And then, the Christian explains something very dumb and very wrong and isn't challenged at all. As you can imagine, it's simply riveting. The name of the game here is fear. Whether it's fear of communism, hippies, the end of the world, Catholics, the concept of joy, and as fun as it is to point and laugh at them individually, it's important to recognize why someone would go to this much effort to be this wrong. I don't think for a second that Jack Chick was exaggerating his beliefs when he said that the Catholic Church orchestrated the Nazis, or that gay people should be nuked, or that evolution is fake because he can't critically think about things that challenge his ideas. He did this because he, and the people that follow him, want to stare down their nose at you. Yes, you. Even if everyone on Earth followed their psychotic ideology, they would still find ways to feel superior to you. Comics like this take a lot of work. While Jack Chick was no Kentaro Miura, even bad comics take an insane amount of effort to make. I should know. I've tried and failed to make a webcomic several times. He probably spent several weeks on each of these, and there are over 250 of them. Decades of his valuable time on this earth he spent promoting this kind of garbage. Why? In a word, contempt. Oh, you're a Christian like me? Oh, you're a Catholic. Oh, you're gay. Oh, you're black. Oh, you were baptized as a child. To hell with you, to heaven with me. They will never be satisfied with anyone other than their incredibly narrow, contextless view of a good person, which only really them and their tiny social circle will ever truly be, and do you see some parallels? That's why it's so incredibly frustrating to deal with these people. They simply won't listen to you, because the simple fact that you are debating them means you are lost to Satan and cannot be saved from hell. Pushback in these comics, as with the case with poor Juan, leads you to being eternally damned, no matter the context. Any challenging their ideas gets you sent to hell immediately.
My crew is big and it keeps getting bigger. That's 'cause Jesus Christ is...
Now, after all that, it might surprise you to learn that I was baptized, raised, and confirmed as an Anglican. It stands to mention that despite selling hundreds of millions of these comics since the 1960s, they aren't actually that popular, even among Christian circles, because most people understand that love your neighbor as yourself and gays are forsaken by God and thus we should make their lives as miserable as possible so we can stomp them into the dirt and feel superior, are not really compatible ideas. The funniest thing here is that these comics seem completely unaware of the actual gospel that they're teaching. Sure, they quote the Bible, but I don't think they've actually read it recently. Sure, they talk about the widely mistranslated anti-gay line, but do they talk about the pro-sex worker line? Do they talk about the part where Jesus gets so angry at people monetizing faith that he kicks everyone out and breaks all their tables? Do they have a comic about the verse that says unions are based? Of course they don't. The kind of person who writes and reads a comic like this is also the kind of person who doesn't understand the golden rule. Treat others as you would have others treat you. That is the point of every Abrahamic religion, a point Chick missed by several light years. So, time to go ahead.
My child.
Oh my gosh, it's Jesus!
Yes, I am Jesus, and you're gay.
Wow, wait, what?
Do not worry, I will carry you to gay heaven.
I'm not gay.
Time for plan B then.
Nah, I've been shot before. Gun's probably full of ketchup or something.